volunteer?
I'll volunteer.
All right, Mike
Which one?
Johnson.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Losi,
Here.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Here.
Mayor Long.
Here. Thank you, Sienna. So our new employee had a scheduling glitch, so we're going to move right on to oral comments from the public. Does anyone that is on our Zoom meeting have any comments? And while they are commenting, we'll see if anyone calls in. Nobody? All right, we'll close public comment and move on to our consent calendar. We have 9 items, including city council minutes and our department monthly reports from administrative, community development, finance, parks and rec, police, public works, River Lodge, as well as our report of disbursements. Does anyone wish to pull anything? Jeremy's nodding, but you're on mute.
There we go. I'd like to pull E and F, please.
Anyone else? All right, Jeremy, what do you got?
So on E, I just wanted to let the public know a big thank you to the Auto Expo Committee for donating a baby changing station for the Roner Park bathrooms. And it's one of those things that goes without notice. So because of their generosity, I wanted to bring it up. And item F, the police department. I sure appreciate all the things that are happening in the police department right now, including the future with the pod and everything. But I got a citizen phone call this week regarding some of the transient activity going on in Fortuna. And the citizen expressed frustration that he grew up in Eureka and when he was younger, and now he hardly recognizes it. And it's just a place that he doesn't find himself proud of per se. And just wanted to make sure Fortuna didn't go down that slippery slope. And I was just going to ask Chief to comment on things that are happening in the department that are helping us keep our city beautiful.
Thank you, Councilmember Stanfield. Yeah, so, transient activity and the quality of life issues are something that face all of the cities, even the Northern California cities. And as far as the Fortuna Police Department, we are taking every step that we can on a daily basis to identify the population of or the segment, I should say, of the transient population who is engaged in violation of our municipal codes or any other state law. And so obviously this takes some creativity. One of the programs that I have advocated for and started to present to other agency heads and the district attorney's office as of about 2 months ago is a program that I'm referring to as COAP. COAP is a chronic offenders accountability program. And so this program began receiving traction in Shasta County in about 2017, where I came from. And we used COAP primarily for members of the public who may not be the most heinous offenders, but were certainly those that were what you might call frequent flyers. So people that the police department was dealing with on a routine basis. So that is the biggest program right now. Again, as I said earlier, that I'm advocating for at more of a regional level. The pro to that program is that it benefits all of the municipalities within the Humboldt region. And it's something that the District Attorney Maggie Fleming has already reached out and kind of done her own research and homework and is very much a fan of. So I'm hoping that that takes hold here and that we gain some more traction going forward. On a more recent level, we continue to identify the members of the transient population that are violating our municipal codes and state laws. And, we're just at a point now with the roller coaster of COVID, where the sheriff and the jail have essentially been opened back up to business. So we're no longer calling the jail to get authorization for bookings. We have carte blanche, if you will. And so where we've really seen the statistics ramp up is over the last 2.5, 3 weeks. I was personally engaged at the city manager, and I were disturbed at lunch not too long ago with one of these persons who was just visiting a local restaurant and causing quite the disturbance. So I actually had to break away from that, and we ended up making an arrest on this particular person who's been arrested about 5 times in the last 6 weeks. So, you know, again, creativity being the underlying issue, we are using, you know, sections and violations of the law that historically haven't been used in Fortuna, but we're using those just for our problematic segment. I mean, you know, if people are breaking the laws, we're going to arrest them, and they're going to be held accountable. And so if there are members of the public, Councilmember Stanfield, who want more of a direct approach to my office, as everybody knows, I keep an open door. I'm more than willing to speak specifically about groups or persons who are violating our ordinances or laws, and they are always welcome to call me or drop by, and we will continue to work progressively and creatively to keep our community safe and rid our city of quality of life issues.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, anything else, or would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We adopt the consent calendar items A through F.
Second.
Aye.
A through I?
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion, a second. Sienna?
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
yes,
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. All right, moving on to our first council business, authorize the city manager or his designee to execute a loan with the Fortuna Business Improvement District in amount not to exceed $25,000 for audit purposes. Resolution 2021-30.
Thank you, Mayor Long. Our finance director has a staff report. I just wanted to thank Aaron for working on this along with Danny Kelly and Emily Hobelman. And really what we were looking for is a way to resolve some of the past due nature of the audits with FBID. And I think we came up with a good solution. So again, I appreciate everybody's hard work on this, and I'll hand it over to Aaron for a staff report.
Thank you, and good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. So the relationship between the Fortuna Business Improvement District and the city was formally established by written contract back in August of 2000. And this set the responsibilities of each party. That contract requires the district to have an annual audit of its accounting records prepared each fiscal year. Generally, FBID has been compliant with the terms of the contract with the city, with the exception of the completion of timely audits. The last audit provided to the city was for fiscal year 2014-2015. And so staff have been in communication with FBID and have been requesting and working with FBID to try and get their audits completed through fiscal year 2020-2021. In order to rectify the audit deficiency, the Fortuna Business Improvement District has been in contact with Anderson, Lucas, Somerville, and Borges, a certified public accounting firm. And that firm has quoted an estimated fee of between $21,000 and $25,000 in order to bring the audits current. The city did authorize FBID in order to try and assist in getting the cost as low as possible, that they would just be preparing one audit report that would encompass all 6 years versus preparing 6 individual audit reports for each of the years that are missing. So the district does not presently have the funds necessary to have this audit work completed, and they subsequently have asked the city to assist by making a short-term loan. ALSB will be billing audit work on a time and materials basis, and city staff is recommending that the city pay those invoices on behalf of FBID, and then at the completion of the audit, we'll compile all those expenses and issue a loan to FBID for that total amount. Staff have discussed a 4-year loan term with an amount not to exceed $25,000 with a 0% interest rate with FBID. And FBID was able to take this to their board meeting on September 7th, and they agree that those terms would allow for FBID to complete the audit. And we're very appreciative to the city for providing this option to them. So the only net fiscal impact for the city for this would be the opportunity cost on the interest revenue that the city would have earned on the principal portion that we're giving to the Fortuna Business Improvement District. And right now, the interest rates are around 0.5%, so it would be pretty minimal. And the loan would be repaid by the district in equal amounts over the next 4 years. And that would be done by the district accepting a reduced disbursement from the amount that the city matches each year. And the city matches approximately $60,000. So let's say the total audit amount comes to $24,000. We would reduce the $60,000 by $6,000 each year over the next 4 years in order to get that loan repaid. And upon approval from the council on this item, the city attorney is going to finalize the promissory note to provide for direct disbursements of loan proceeds upon those receipts of audit invoices. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have Designee Kelly, the interim CEO of FBID, as well as Emily Hobelman, the president of the board. So they're here to answer any questions as well. But with that, staff's recommendation is to authorize the city manager to execute a loan to the Fortuna Business Improvement District for the purposes of conducting an audit. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Aaron. We'll open public comment. If anyone would like to comment on this item, there is a number on your screen that you can call. And anyone will leave that open while the council addresses any questions they might have. Does anyone from the council have questions? Or Danny or Emily, did you want to add anything to Aaron's report?
Thank you, Mayor Long, city council members. I didn't have anything specific to say other than our appreciation for continuing to partner with the city. We are here to answer any questions. I know it's kind of been a time of transition and that there may be questions out there. So I was just here to address those.
And I'll jump in quickly to echo that appreciation and to also let everyone know that I'm on the city council agenda for November 1st to report on what FBID is up to. And hopefully we'll have some information from the audit at that point that we can share with the city. So we're looking forward to collaborating more closely in the future. And we really appreciate the help of Merritt and Aaron.
All right, any questions or comments from council? I will add that we did get a letter of support from the Strongs Creek business group. So they were encouraging the council to go ahead with the loan. I think all of you read that in your email today, so.
I also have a comment. I know there's enough blame for an audit not having been done for what, 5-6 years. Plenty of blame to go around, including our own city council and city government. But I can't imagine an executive director who would not require an annual audit just to show the businesses that are paying these fees that the money that's being spent is being spent where it needs to be. Again, I know there's enough blame around there, but I think that that has to sit with whoever is going to be the executive director. I just had one question. Is Danny being paid right now? I had understood that there wasn't even money for a salary.
Oops.
Go ahead, Emily, if you want to answer that question. But my understanding is that FBID does have a contract with Danny, and Danny or Emily would probably be best to answer that question through Mayor Long, if it's okay to answer.
That's
Sure.
fine.
So our agreement with Danny is that he will be paid when we receive payment from the city in early October for services performed thus far.
Okay.
And if I may add, that wasn't requested by FBID. That was a decision on behalf of Edge Caliber. I think that there would be funds to squeak by on invoices, but trying to get the lay of the land and everything, it just made a lot more sense to hold off on those invoices for the time being.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? Do we have any comments from the public? I don't see anyone with hands raised, no calls, Sienna. Okay, we'll close public comment.
I just had one question. Do they foresee any difficulty with getting less money annually from the city as a form of to repay this? And how do they foresee that working out for the FBID?
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. If I may, we are still working on our budget. One of my top priorities in this role during this interim is to help us identify other sources of revenue. Honestly, this organization's purpose is to serve all of the businesses in the community. And I think that a lot of the scope of it has been around beautification and things like that. I think there are other things that the bid can be doing to provide value that can also bring in revenue so that we're not dependent on the city for our entire budget. The short answer is that yes, we can cover this loan over time. The longer answer is we are looking at ways of bringing in different sources of revenue.
And I just want to add to what Danny has said, that this is a bit of a time of reckoning for the business improvement district. And as Danny said, we are looking for ways to diversify the income stream for FBID, but we also hope to collaborate more closely with the council and business owners to come up with a good way to have this organization be solvent and sustainable and also relevant in this community. So we appreciate the support.
Thanks. I appreciate everything that FBID has done and look forward to seeing what they're doing in the future. And I just wanted to see how it was going to work out. And it sounds like you've taken that into account. So thank you.
Sure. And I will say, I greatly look forward to November 1st and being able to provide more detail about the direction that we hope to take in the future and to share that with you and get your feedback then too.
Thanks.
I would like to just comment as the city liaison that I really appreciate the support of the council to consider this short-term loan. I know that we're pretty much all saying the same thing, so I'll keep my comments short, but just really feel it's important to basically relaunch FBID with new direction, new focus, and appreciate you guys helping move through this transition time.
Anything else from council?
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Let's do it.
I'll move to approve resolution 2021-30 for a loan amount not to exceed $25,000 and read by title only.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Resolution 2021-30, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fortuna authorizing the city manager to execute a loan to the Fortuna Business Improvement District for the purpose of conducting an audit. Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. All right, our next item is the second reading of an amendment to the zoning map from residential estates RE20 to residential single family R16 and neighborhood commercial NC to public facility PF. Ordinance 2021-748.
Deputy Director Shorey will be providing this staff report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. So yeah, this is the second reading of this ordinance. It's a map amendment, and you did have the full presentation and the first reading on September 7th. So I'll keep it pretty brief. Just going to go over the 4 slides again. And you also, at the previous meeting, you adopted the general plan amendment that accompanies this kind of a rezone. So I'll just quickly share my screen. So you can see that. So the Hilltop rezone.
It's not here.
Is it not sharing?
Not up yet, no.
Oh. Okay. I think I selected the wrong one. Is
There
it
you go.
sharing? Okay, great.
Yeah.
And you can see the full slide.
Yes.
So this is the Hilltop rezone located on Hilltop Drive. It's Strawberry Lane and Ridgeview Court. And this just shows the 6 parcels that are involved in the rezone. The blue lines are the parcel boundaries. So each of these numbers represent a single lot. You can see that there are 6 lots. And the reason for the rezone is that these parcels all have a split boundary through the middle of their property, which makes it a little problematic when they want to do certain things like that. In this case, what initiated this was this desire to build a shed in the backyard that needed it required the RE20, the larger setbacks. And what the rezone does is give them the same zoning standards and setback standards that they have on the front of their lots, and that all of the other parcels on Hilltop Drive have. So it's just an issue basically of cleaning up that split zone boundary, which we really try to avoid those because they do cause problems like that. And then this is just the zoning map that will be adopted. And you can see that it's highlighting that same area, which is the rear of those 6 parcels. And again, that's from residential estates with a 20,000 square foot minimum lot size to R16 with the 6,000 square foot minimum lot size, which matches their parcels. And then the other rezone that's being adopted in that same ordinance is the parcel on Newburgh Road at Rourneville Road. And that you can see on the aerial, it's adjacent to Newburgh Park. And this would be from neighborhood commercial zoning to public facility, which is would really extend the Newburgh Park zoning and be an appropriate zoning for the police department, which is currently operating there. So, and really that one is just to create a stronger zone for that police department, one that is principally permitted. So from a land use perspective, that's just a more protected zoning for a facility of the police department's importance. So we just wanted to clean that up. And you had the detailed presentation at the previous meeting, so I didn't go into all of the details and all of the extra slides, but certainly if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. And if not, I will pass it back to the mayor, and the recommended second reading is on the overhead. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. We'll open public comment. And does the council have any comments or questions? Anyone from the public? I don't see any hands. Sienna, anyone call in? I can't see you anymore.
I don't see anybody that would like to make a comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment. Back to the council.
I make a motion to hold the second reading and adopt ordinance 2021-748 and read by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Sienna?
Ordinance 2021-748, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fortuna to amend the zoning map from residential estates RE20 to residential single family R16 and neighborhood commercial NC to public facility PF. Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
yes,
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
yes,
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Sienna. Our next item is a supplemental budget request for USDA grant for the purchase of 2 police vehicles.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Honorable City Council. I do have a short PowerPoint Sienna's going to help me with as I'm currently out of town. Okay, and here we go. So I am pleased to present the SBR in conjunction with the USDA's Rural Assistant Grant Program. Next slide. On September 24th, the Fortuna Police Department received notification from the USDA that the police department had been selected to be awarded a $50,000 grant from the Rural Assistance Grant Program. This grant will be utilized for the purchase and outfitting of 2 new patrol vehicles. I am proud to announce that this grant amount reflects the maximum award amount available and is the largest grant amount ever awarded to the city for the police vehicles. Next slide. The total project cost is $120,000 with the USDA's grant contribution at $50,000. The city contribution will be approximately $70,000. This $70,000 will be taken out of the asset seizure fund and will be utilized to cover the city's contribution. Next slide. Included in the project will be 2 new 2022 Ford Police Explorer police equipment packages. And also included is the police equipment installation and the police graphics. Next slide. As far as a needs assessment, currently the Fortuna Police Department has 3 Ford Crown Victoria patrol vehicles. These vehicles are at end of life and ready to be replaced. The Crown Victorias on average are about 12 to 17 years old and all are approaching 200,000 miles. The 3 older Crown Vics collectively have had over $100,000 worth of repairs collectively since about 2009. And they provide an undesirable appearance and image for the Fortuna Police Department and the city. Next slide. As a side note, I just wanted to comment on the department and city branding and public image. Great organizations understand and strategically control the image and brand to enhance community value. By approving this project, the city council will be authorizing the chief of police to improve the fleet by replacing problematic vehicles. And there's also side effects, creating greater community engagement, increasing retention, and improving recruitment. The city of Fortuna should capitalize on every opportunity to maintain a healthy brand and image. Next slide. As previously reported, the fiscal impact is $120,000 with specifically $70,000 coming out of asset seizure. The vehicles are being purchased by Downtown Ford as a piggyback based on a previous competitive bid by the state of California. Next slide. Staff recommends the council approve the supplemental budget request or SBR for the purchase of 2 new police vehicles that recognizes revenue from the USDA's Rural Assistant Grant and provides matching funds from the city's asset seizure fund. And with that, I would conclude my staff report and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Chief Day. We'll open public comment. Does the council have any questions or comments?
I got a question, and it's not questioning the value or the need, just actually what an item, couple of items are. The ready for the road package. I was wondering what that was, as well as, I love the name of this, the ultimate wiring package, which I think I know what it is, but I just don't know for sure.
So there are a couple of different options with the receipt of these vehicles. And actually, I was just educated last week in attending a vendor presentation at Superior Installs. So ready for the road package is the most often ordered package. It basically has the units delivered to the city you know, with the standard equipment that's needed to essentially get the units equipped to be deployed. So some of the vendors are, I guess, recommending that we don't go ready for the road, but there is kind of a hitch to that in the fact that they're trying to upsell equipment. So, you know, there's always kind of a pitch to everything. And I still think ready for the road is the most fiscally responsible and applicable package at this point.
Okay, that's kind of what I was wondering. It's basically when, upon receipt, it can go into service.
Correct.
And I'm guessing the ultimate wiring package has the wiring for the overheads and the alley lights and spotlights and that kind of thing.
Well, it was pretty amazing, just to answer your question, Councilman Johnson, how things have evolved. I really haven't quite seen anything like this for a couple of years, but the new upgraded package is, it's the technology is absolutely amazing. You know, it's a far shout from when I started, where you had to talk on the radio, use the steering wheel, and rotate your wrist for spotlights and other equipment. It would take me, it'd be a whole separate presentation to go into what that technology looks like now, but it looks like something out of, you know, some sort of futuristic movie. It's pretty incredible.
Good, thank you.
Any other?
I do. Many years ago, when I was on the street, I remember being able to pretty well drive with my knees because my hands were using spotlights, the radio, other equipment. So police officers are able to, you know, change and adapt. I'm really glad to see this. I'm glad to see the Rural Assistance Grant. Merritt got tired of me going to him, I'm sure, saying we've got to replace cars, we've got to replace cars. I think his last comment was, "You're killing me here, Mike." But I, as well as I'm sure you guys have received complaints from citizens. I've received several, including a retired CHP captain that just moved into the area that says, "You got to get rid of those cars." So I'm glad this is going through. Thank you.
Anyone else from council?
Is there a planned ETA for service?
You know, I would be hesitant to answer that at this point, Council Member Stanfield. It's with COVID and everything else. I'm just I'm not optimistic. Everything is delayed, and you know, as far as the city and staff, we have done everything ahead of schedule where we can, in an effort to minimize that and take delivery of these new units as soon as possible.
Mayor Long, I just had one comment.
Sure.
I just want to thank Amanda Hubasek with our public works. She's really been helping to submit the applications to the USDA rural assistance, and she was instrumental with the application for the Vector truck and also the police vehicle. So she's been a big part of that. And I also want to let Councilmember Losi know that the interceptors will be going on the auction block. So if there's one that you had your eye on, that they'll likely be available locally in an auction soon.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing I want to do. Thank you, Merritt.
All right, any other comments or questions? If not, we need a motion.
Did we have public comment?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that.
Well,
Sorry.
Because we never get any, so.
I'll make a motion to approve a supplemental budget request for the purchase of 2 police vehicles that recognize revenue from USDA Rural Assistance Grant and provide matching funds from city asset seizure funds.
I'll be more than happy to second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Sienna,
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Losi,
Yes.
Councilmember Stanfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent,
yes,
Mayor Long.
yes. All right, moving on to city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Long. Just a upcoming meeting recap. Our next council meeting will be on October 4th. Our next planning commission, October 12th. Both of those meetings are at 6 p.m. Our next Measure E committee meeting is coming up tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. That'll be televised, or excuse me, it'll be on Zoom platform as we've been doing. And then our next Roner Community Recreation Park District meeting will be on October 6th. I had just a few items for my verbal report tonight. One of those is I just wanted to let the council know that I did make 2 presentations for grant applications for the Headwaters Fund. We're seeking money for more funds to support the planning effort for the mill site, and also to do a master plan for the pending Riverfront Park. So our hope with the Riverfront Park master plan is to be able to identify improvements and put those into a competitive grant application for the Rural Recreation and Tourism grant, both submit on behalf of the city and the Roner Recreation District to try to get funding to develop that site. And with the Headwaters funding for the mill site, our hope is to really just do more infrastructure planning and come up with more information that allow the city to rezone and update the land use and identify the improvements that will be needed to remove barriers for the development of that site. Along those lines, one of the things that we've really been pushing lately, the city engineer and I have been meeting with various folks, and we're really trying to get interest regionally for the improvement of the 12th Street and the Kenmar interchanges. We met last week with Supervisor Bone and Supervisor Bushnell. We have a meeting with Assembly Member Wood tomorrow, and then we'll be meeting with Caltrans executive staff the following week. And our hope is that one of the programs that is administered by Caltrans will work for those interchanges, and it's our hope to try to find state or federal funding. We've submitted a number of earmark requests. We recently just completed a project study report that the council funded at the last council meeting. And so we're being very active now in anticipation that there may be some more infrastructure money coming and that these projects will fall within that. And I think it's really important for the council to recognize how important these interchanges are for the planned growth of the city. They're already operating below acceptable levels, and it's really important if we want to attract new development and have that quality of life for people that are moving and living here, that we need to get these interchanges done. So it's a huge focus of staff right now, as well as the planning on the mill site. One of the other things that we are working on is we're considering the purchase and subscription for development software. We really want to create transparency with development proposals and building permits that come within our building department. So we're considering a few different softwares. We narrowed it down to one, and we hope to be able to bring council back a recommendation for a community development software. And one of the things that we're very interested in is to have that applicant staff interface and have the ability for anybody who has a permit in to see exactly where it is, to get the comments in real time, to make resubmittals and changes and have those reflected real time and uploaded, and then to have that accountability factor so anybody who has a pending project within the city can look that up. So, there's a cost to that. So we've been negotiating with the provider of those and trying to bring those costs down. And so there is some money budgeted currently, but there would be an ongoing subscription, and we'll be running that by the council before we proceed with any type of contracting for that. So stay tuned and you'll receive more information on that sooner. Also, I'll be meeting with Jeff Durham with the Humboldt Lodging Alliance and also the owner of the Redwood Inn in Fortuna. And I'll be just meeting with him for a general discussion and to review ways that we can increase tourism within Fortuna and the surrounding area. And then I just wanted to mention that I worked with Mayor Long last week, and we made sure to get word to Assembly Member Wood how important SB 792 was, and that's the legislation which is now on the governor's desk to require reporting from large companies, large companies such as Amazon, so that they can track their sales, with the ultimate goal of having the sales tax paid at the location of the purchase or the order or the point of delivery. So sales tax from online businesses is one of the largest part of the county pool and the largest contributor to the city. So it's really important that we continue to track that. And we don't see sales tax that should go to the city of Fortuna, go to other communities. And that's all I have for my verbal report.
And just to add to that, Assemblymember Wood did vote in favor of that. So got an email from Aaron confirming that after the fact. Okay, future agenda items, anybody? All right, City Council reports, Mike Johnson.
Couple of things came up in our HCOG meeting. We had a presentation from Caltrans regarding the 101 corridor and the overpass project there. And that is, when it came back to, the bids came in the last time, there was a wide range of bids, there was bid protests. That is being, after they went back to the office and came back, it's being repackaged and rebid, and Caltrans is going to start doing some more geotech work there and work on a design so that there is a design ready to be built, and everything's on an even keel, and hopefully to get that out in February of 22 and get it out to bid and be able to start in May per the schedule they already have. One of the other things that came out was the 101 corridor patrols. There was always an enjoyable time reading that and the speeds that came in from that. And this was always one of former council member Glazier's favorite parts. And we had a couple of really Lulus this time with a 52-year-old man from Iowa with 87 miles an hour. He was the overall winner for July and August combined, but a runner-up from Eureka at 80. So we still are seeing some of those high speeds. Other items that came about that affect us greatly, I remember, was SB 556 is still, I don't know if it was signed today, but that's the one that's going to the governor for signature. And it's the one that allows the utilities, the broadband, to just use any poles that they want for any project they want with little to no oversight. It has been watered down some, but it did pass. So that's one to watch out for. One that would really be good for us is AB 43, which allows speed limits to be adjusted much easier. And you can move at 5-mile-an-hour increments without having to have a new speed survey for the 85th percentile. So it will allow us more flexibility as we set our speed limits here in town. And at that point, also, we had the AB 970, which does initiate a shot clock for EV charging permits for setting up EV charging stations. And their desire would be that it's approved in 5 days, but after 20 days, it would be deemed approved. And that's one that we want to make sure that gets vetoed. And I'll leave it at that for now, but there's a whole lot more fun in this package. So thank you.
All right, Mike Lovesey.
Thank you, Mayor. Last Wednesday, that would have been September 15th, we had a LAFCO meeting. We talked about the year-end financials. Everything financially looks secure with LAFCO. We have a very small budget, very austere. We did the McKinleyville Community Services District MSR SOI, and the McKinleyville Community Services District is asking to include the Patrick Creek Community Service District into their sphere of influence. So there was some discussion about that. The MCSD already supplies the Patrick Creek Community Services with water. So I think that that's probably going to go through. but the commissioners wanted to take some extra time and look at the report that LAFCO completed. And then there were some requests from commissioners with regard to fire and drought, sea level rise, and law enforcement and fire protection to be included in the report. We talked about the current MSR proposals that are going through, including the Arcata Creek site annexation. There was a Mitchell Road annexation that we passed and it's ongoing. And then the Rio Dell Metropolitan annexation, Metropolitan Road annexation, and that's going through. And then we talked about future proposals that will be coming to light, including the Eel River Valley Shared Services for Fire Protection, fire services. So that's going to be one that is going to draw a lot of interest along the Eel River Valley. I just want to do a shout out though to Melissa Sanderson and the North Coast Journal for purchase of the Ferndale Enterprise newspaper. She plans on including news from both sides of the river, as well as other communities along the river, the Eel River Valley. So congratulations to Melissa for keeping the Ferndale Enterprise going. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mike. Jeremy.
We have a FBID meeting tomorrow. The agenda includes the invoicing for Excalibur that was touched on earlier, the hourly versus salary comparisons for an executive director, finalizing the job description and the schedule for the director, deciding FBID's course of action regarding holiday events, changing board meetings, that's just a housekeeping thing, dates and times, and then approving and signing the ALSB engagement letter for the audit. Thank you very much for your vote tonight. Moving forward, your president, Emily, has had a lot of energy. She's put a lot of extra time and energy into meeting with different board members and the city manager and Danny Kelly outside of the regularly scheduled meetings. All the board members have been putting in a lot of time and energy. They have scheduled every other Tuesday, and now it sounds like it might be every other Wednesday, but they're meeting twice a month right now, trying to really focus on how to bring the bid back into the alignment and the vision and focus that everybody thinks it should be. So I'll report back after that meeting. And then Parks and Rec, just wanted to tell Cameron, he did a great job today he was the guest speaker for the Chamber of Commerce and talked about all the projects that they're going on, and the comments in the chat were, do you ever sleep? You are so busy and you got so many irons in the fire and you're doing so many good things. And he introduced a couple of new ideas that are coming in October and soon thereafter, including drop-in volleyball and drop-in basketball and hoopsters. I think it's called something else. But all those programs are going to be coming back in line. Also, the skate rink is having one night a week and then moving into 2 nights a week, and then also inviting families for an early skate on Sundays at an earlier time than the typical 6:30 to 9:30. So call this the skating rink if you want to enjoy the skating rink with your smaller children and you don't want to be out starting at 6:30. Other than that, it's amazing what all these parks people do on the daily basis to make our town beautiful. And there's a whole bullet list of maintenance issues that were dealt with. And it's at least a page long every month or every 2 weeks when we get these reports from the department heads. So just really appreciate the work going into greening up our medians by fixing all the irrigation, and then taking care of some tree trimming so that the school buses at 14th Street when they turn onto Main are safe. And I mean, there's just so many little things that happen without even our knowledge, and it's really impressive to see it operate. So I appreciate everybody for that. I think that's it.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. Tammy.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't have much to report. Mike reported a little bit on what I was going to talk about, which was the Ferndale Enterprise. I'm pretty excited about that. Those who missed the Humboldt Beacon, this will be similar to that. It's going to have a lot more local news. So it'll be exciting to have that back into town again. So, and she's got a special going on right now to subscribe to it. So if you're interested, you can go online and get signed up for that. That's all I have to report.
All right, thanks, Tammy. Mine's pretty short as well. I did have a REDEC executive meeting to approve a bridge loan. And I've been working with all of you on merits evaluation, which we are going to go over in closed session tonight. So anybody hear anything about how conference went? It's over, right? Was it last week?
No, it's this week.
It's this week. Okay, maybe we'll get some kind of input from Sarah after the fact. All right, so we have one item on our closed session, public employee performance evaluation pursuant to section 54957 of the government code, title city manager. Does anyone from the public have any comments before we adjourn to closed session? Seeing none, hearing none. All right, we need a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to closed session.
No, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn to closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Sienna, do your magic and good night to the rest of you. Thank you for coming.